Relationship Wednesday
with David Bone.
Today, and thank you so much for your company. It is 10 minutes past 7. This is our first edition of Relationship Wednesday, and my guest today is Shannon Dolan. She's on the line in Sydney. G'day, Shannon.
G'day.
How are you travelling?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good. Today we want to talk about personal branding and why it's important for people to be able to put themselves out there in a way that is memorable. I thought maybe we could start with exactly what is a brand?
Well, a brand is an experience. It's a feeling, it's a memory, and it's something that's not really created in a factory. It's created in our mind.
It's certainly something very important for really big companies like a McDonald's, a KFC, a Coca-Cola. To them, branding is all important, isn't it?
Absolutely, and they're very clear about the specific words that they want us to experience. So whether it's with a McDonald's, most people would come up with similar words, and they would come up with fast, it's clean, it's very cheap, and we'd all feel the same. And then they keep delivering on that. They're consistent with that. They go beyond expectations, and that's the way that you sustain a brand.
And they also try and I suppose this goes into marketing then, but to convince us that, McDonald's and those sort of food outlets that they're producing healthier alternatives so that you actually feel as if you're getting a health benefit when you go along to those organisations. That's part of their branding as well, is it?
It seems to be, because they need to be innovative and they need to keep up. So yes, otherwise their brand will die.
So if that's what it is to have a brand for a large organisation,
Sure.
then at that personal level, why do we need to use some of those same tactics in our lives?
Well, it's really about being clear, I guess, just like a regular brand. Really, what is the memory that you leave with people? What is the impression that you make with people? And it's being clear and focused about the words that you would like to have people use to describe you, and be consistent with that. Otherwise, sometimes we can be a little bit like a leaf blowing in the wind, and we are persuaded or changed by each experience or each person that we come into contact with. So it's having a focus, and it's being clear about what your strengths are, what you would like to put out there through your unique personality and what's memorable about you, and for people to have a wonderful experience with you.
I suppose it's about being concise in conveying your best strengths.
Well, many times people don't really know what their strengths are. So sometimes we need a little bit of support. Often we're told a lot about the areas that we need to develop and the areas we need to get better in. But it is about becoming clear about your own strengths and then building upon that. So, for instance, somebody on the world stage like a Barack Obama, again, if you asked most people would come up with the same words to describe that guy. And that is because he's very clear about the brand that he wants to put out there. He's very clear about his strengths, and he's very clear and consistent with the actions and the behaviors that he puts out there day to day to day. And that's why we all have the same experience of him.
And that was very important during the election campaign as well, in terms of the personal image that he put. For example, when he went into public, and if he was out in the field, he would wear his tie, but he would roll his sleeves up to a certain length. And if he was to wear his shirt but no tie, he'd always have a jacket on. And the idea there was, my understanding is, that he said, I want to be the President of the United States. This is the way that a president should dress. This is the image that a president should convey at all times, even if it was out in a hot field or whatever. It was to have that consistency of image. And how important is that, do you think, as a view that people can take on board at our level?
Well, the visual is really important, actually, and it's being aware of, as he was, where am I at the moment and what is appropriate and what is going to be effectively communicating the words that I want to have live about me. So the visual is really powerful, whether it is through the way that we move or what we wear. People get a strong feeling about us. We don't step into a room and tell everybody how charismatic and ambitious we are. They just get it, and they get it through those visual clues. They get it through the way that we speak. They get it through our actions and our behaviors, and then they take that away and they tell others. And that is how you build a successful brand. And it's no different on a personal level, really. than on a large-scale corporate level.
This is ABC Local Radio across the Midwest and Wheatbelt. It's 7:15. This is Relationship Wednesday. My guest is Shannon Dolan, Director of Performance Power International. We are talking about personal branding this morning. Love you to be involved with the conversation. If you want to ask Shannon a question, if you want to talk about personal branding, why it's important for you, are you looking for a job? Are you looking for some ideas about how it might be able to convey your personal branding? Our phone number is 1300 501 222, or you can send us a text on 0448 922 604. Personal branding with Shannon Dolan. Also, we see that in other ways as well. People like James Bond, they have a particular brand that we're quite well known for. Are we able to emulate that in our own life in terms of the sort of clothes that we wear? Can we really do that?
Right. So, well, it depends on what you're going for. I mean, that's a pretty nice brand, actually. I mean, as far as impeccable goes.
I've never tried to be James Bond. I'd never do that.
So that's not a bad place to shoot for. But as far as the visual goes, it is becoming clear, and also what your industry is, or where you work, or what it is that's going to support you in putting out the right feeling.
So if you're a job seeker, you're
yes.
looking for a job, and obviously a lot of people always think, right, this is my big opportunity to get
yes.
dressed up.
Yes.
And then there's also that idea that you should just be dressing for the workplace that you're going to be in as well. What's your take on that? Where should you? Should you dress above what you think you might need to for that workplace for the job interview itself?
I do agree with the credo that you're always dressing for the station above where you are, and the way that you went in and got the job on that particular day. That's the level that you should hold on to, and not let yourself fall below that. The visual is extremely powerful, and so people will see you in a certain way or not, depending upon that particular look that you put out there. And it depends if you're in advertising or you're working in a bank, or where it is that you're working. It's what's appropriate, and also what's going to send out the right message for you.
And how difficult, though, that is that where you are in a uniformed environment? A lot of people do that now. Banks, a lot of corporate entities have a uniform for their staff. How difficult is it when you're forced to wear a uniform to be able to say, look at me, I am, I really should be rising above my station?
That's right. Well, first of all, it does make life easier when you're given a uniform, because you don't need to worry about that side of things. So that's not such a bad thing. Obviously, the way that you wear it does make a difference. The way that even if somebody drags themselves around in an Armani suit, it doesn't look so great. So it's the way that you present yourself in it as well. And the organization has put you in a particular color or uniform or whatever it may be, because it does send out a particular message that they want to support. And then it's the way that you speak to people, it's the way you connect with people, it's the way that you represent that brand that will actually bring it to life. And that's the position that you have and that you've been given and that you represent. So you're representing yourself in the way that you display their brand, but you also have other qualities that you are displaying based upon the organization that you represent.
And I suppose if we just go back a step, so you got the job interview and you've polished your boots and you've got your suit ready to go for the job interview, but before you got to that stage, you sent them an application, you sent them a CV, you sent them a letter. What are some of the best ways to be able to convey your personal brand in a written form where they haven't even had any verbal contact with you at all?
Yes, well, you do always want to stand out, and you want it to be simple. I wouldn't say that I am an expert in resume writing, but I do advise people on this side of things. And you do want up front to have perhaps those 3 to 5 words that are really part of your brand, something that's a real standout about you. You do want to have in there some of your strengths, and you do need to ask around and think about past experiences, or ask your friends, your colleagues, etc., what some of your strengths are. I coached a young executive yesterday, and I asked him how his friends would describe him, and he said, I just have no idea. And I said, well, I think you need to ask. I mean, they would be your friends for a reason, and you need to bring yourself in, and you need to work out, what are these strengths that I have? What is this personality that I want to bring through the door? And back yourself and bring it in. Don't hold back.
And these skills, of course, are not just applicable to executives as well. I mean, it's very difficult to get a job in the mining cleaning industry, for example, to get a start there, you need to be able to get some cut through. So these skills would apply in that same area as well. When you're sending your application letter off for those jobs, you should still use the same basic principles?
Yes, I mean, obviously with different industries, you'll need to fit within whatever guidelines that they desire. However, if there's anything that I do try to tell people as they move forward is bring yourself in, back yourself. That is what's going to make you different from the next guy that steps through the door, whether it's in mining, whether it's in engineering, whether it's in banking, whether it's in hotels. Bring yourself in. There's nothing to lose.
If you step up to the plate and say, because no one else is going to sell you better than you sell yourself.
That's right. And most of us struggle with that. And I wouldn't say that Australians necessarily have the copyright on that. I think most people feel a little uncomfortable when they start considering how to do that.
We'll come back to selling yourself in a moment. It's 21 minutes past 7. This is Breakfast. It's Relationship Wednesday on ABC Midwest and Wheatbelt. More than happy to take your calls or comments. If there are any questions you want to ask Shannon, our text number is 0448 922 604. You can give us a ring if you want to join the conversation on 1300 501 222. So, Shannon, you're saying that being a shrinking violet isn't going to be in your best interest when you're trying to present yourself for either a new job or a promotion in your existing role?
Yes, there's not a lot of luxury in it. We want to be memorable, and in business it's extremely important to be remembered, and it's extremely important to be remembered for all the right reasons, so that when something does come up, that memory has been made, that visual memory has been made, those words are top of mind when something does come up, and they will think of us. We've planted that memory, and they've had that experience with us, so that when it comes around, we will come top of mind for them.
How difficult is it then to pump yourself up enough to be able to do that? Because I suppose, most people are shy, and it is a very challenging situation when you're looking for a new job. Mm-hmm. How can you go about visualising and saying, okay, well, this is the appropriate level without going completely over the top?
That's right. So, I think keep it simple. Just perhaps consider what are 3 words or perhaps one phrase that is my focus as I step through the door, and that is my level, that is my focus. I will allow all my actions, all my behaviors to really support that focus, and that will be the experience that the other person or people have with me at that time, and I'll just keep it really simple. And I will support it with my physical body. Confidence is displayed a lot through the physical body. So an awareness through that. I will support it through the way that I speak. And it will give me the best shot possible at being successful.
I suppose that would have some other benefits as well. If you've talked yourself up, it's a bit like playing a football game, isn't it? If you're in the locker room, you're saying, oh, this is going to be dreadful, I'm not going to score any goals, that's probably going to happen. But if you pump yourself up and say, look, I am good, I'm okay, then your potential to be able to do better in the job interview is probably going to be increased.
Agreed. And I would say we have an inner voice that goes on all the time. And sometimes that voice can be very critical. And it's really important to get on top of that, especially before something important like a job interview or when you're looking to advance, and to turn up what we might call the inner coach, who can say, as you were saying, I can do this. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm going to let them know about what I can offer. Nothing to lose, everything to gain, and just to coach yourself in the way that you would coach somebody else.
And just have a red hot go.
That's right.
It's 25 past 7. This is Relationship Wednesday on ABC Midwest and Wheatbelt. Happy to take your calls or comments this morning if you want to send us a text, 0448 922 604. Shannon Dolan is the Director of Performance Power International. Shannon, in terms of socially, is it to your advantage to be also able to put out a personal brand there?
Yes, well, I mean, I believe it is all personal, and that's the area that I really like to focus in on. So, I mean, I think there should be consistency throughout our life in what people are receiving from us, and to be clear about that experience that people in our personal life are getting as well as in our professional life, so that they're all getting the very best part of us, and that we're clear about the qualities that we want to be putting out there, and that the memory on our personal life is a great one as well. So there's not a lot of inconsistency going on there.
I suppose it's a challenge, though. I mean, my best friend knows me intimately and
Yes.
knows all the good and bad about me.
Sure.
So if I was to suddenly say, okay, well, I'm going to pretend to be James Bond from now on, that they might be able
No.
to detect the difference. So
That
how do we
wouldn't
do
work.
that? No, it's
That
not going to
wouldn't
work.
work, David. No, that wouldn't work. And there are things that they love about you, and that is why they're your friend, and they've remained to be your friend. And there's none of us that's perfect. There's none of us that has it all. We all have a few strengths and qualities that people admire and they like, and that's why with the other sides that perhaps aren't quite as pretty. They put up with them because the positive qualities come through consistently enough that there's a little bit of give and take for those days that aren't so great.
Well, this is a good example for me. I'm only recently moved into Geraldton. I want to be able to find new friends in this area.
Okay.
Would it be worthwhile talking to my existing friends and say, what is it that you like about me?
Yes, I think it would. I think it might be eye-opening. And yesterday when I, talked to this guy and he said, well, I think my friends would describe me as arrogant. And I said, well, I'm sure there are more qualities than that because I don't think they'd be around if that was the only one. But I think most of us just aren't really quite aware of what those things are. And sometimes it's quite eye-opening to hear what people do like about us and what they do admire about us. And it can really boost our self-esteem and our self-belief. And that's a really big part of it.
So if my friend said to me, okay, for example, you might be particularly funny,
Yes.
then you'd think, okay, well, that's all right. I can work with that. I can
Yes.
use that and promote
Funny's
that.
good.
Funny's good. I can promote that as I go forward. Shannon Dolan is my guest. She's the Director of Performance Power International. And we've been talking about personal branding today. We've been talking about how you can impress a personal brand, both in the way that you dress and in your style of communications. We're also talking about it socially. Shannon Dolan, in terms of what are the benefits that you get from this? What are some of the benefits from putting the time and effort into promoting your personal brand?
Well, in a professional setting, over the last 10 years or so, I have definitely found that it has been an absolute key to success for many, many, many people. So whether they be at the CEO level or somebody just starting their very first job, it really turns the key and allows people to feel confident in who they are, and that is a really important part of it, because most people will say, I'd like to feel more confident. And often I look at them and I think, wow, you're CEO of a corporation and you seem extremely confident to me. But it seems like something that we continue to work on in our lives. And so I think it's a concept that people can connect to, and it keeps it simple. It allows you to put a plan into place and say, well, this is...
How to do it.
Yes, this
Yeah.
is what I desire.
Shannon Dolan, thank you so much for being our
Thank you,
first guest
David.
on Relationship Wednesday. I'm going to have to leave it there, but I really
Lovely.
appreciate your time. Shannon Dolan, thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
And this is Relationship Wednesday on ABC Local Radio.
Relationship Wednesday.
With David Bone.